Hey everybody, I'm Stefan from Red Slacklines. During the last weeks, you flooded us with questions about our brand new X-Wing freestyle rig. Today I'd like to address most of your questions, so here we go. There's many downsides to classic freestyle rigs. Many of them have a really hard bottom out. Some of them tend to taco, so you have kind of a painful surface to your skin. And others are still kind of heavy, so they make it pretty difficult to stick your tricks, especially your rotational tricks, to feet. In addition, most tubular webbings are pretty susceptible to abrasion, which weakens them a lot. During the last year, we had our initial learnings with DYNEEMITE versus DYNEEMITE Pro. Since DYNEEMITE tended to taco a lot, since it was very thin and wide, we learned that in the 90mm version that was way thicker but narrower, no tacoing appeared anymore. We also had another learning during the last years. Flat webbings are way more durable than tubular webbings. And during X-Wing's development, we had the ultimate learning in cooperation with German webbing engineers. Massive bounds can be created with supreme weaving technologies, so no tubular webbings are necessary anymore for this. The art of German webbing engineering makes possible to experience what we've never experienced before. The feeling of limitless yet extremely powerful bounce. Even though X-Wing's bounce is extremely deep, it pushes you back up with tremendous speed and enormous power. The major difference is the time this webbing provides you in between the bottom of the bounce and the top of the bounce. Additional stretch means way deeper bounce, so you have more time for your hard rotational tricks and especially more time to stick them to feet. So with this webbing, long combos become much easier than with any other webbing in the market. Let's have a look at Sasha's rocket mounts. Both lines are 70 meters long. In the slow-mo you can see that both clips start in the exact same position. You can also see how much deeper X-Wing's bounce is compared to MOTM. As soon as the feet hit the line, we'll stop the timer. As you've seen, X-Wing gives you half a second more time for your tricks. The more time you have, the easier it gets to stick your tricks to feet. If you are mostly aiming for tricks that start in the rocket position, a stabilizing backup like PULSAR might help you to stick your tricks. Rotational tricks mainly guide the webbing around the highliner in a spectacular manner. This makes the backup loops start to rotate at a very high speed, which generates a high momentum of inertia as soon as the trick ends and the athlete wants to stick to feet in neutral position. The obvious way to reduce the inertia: lower weight. DYNEEMITE Pro is by far the lightest webbing out there in the market. So combining X-Wing with a DYNEEMITE Pro backup makes it a game-changing weapon for all rotational tricks from feet to feet. The range between 65 and 75 meters provides the smoothest and deepest bounce on X-Wing. On shorter lines at about 60-ish meters, the line becomes a lot faster and the bottom becomes perceptible. On lines at about 70-ish meters, the bounce becomes much deeper, way slower and a lot more powerful. Our tests show that the ideal pretension for X-Wing highly depends on the athlete's body weight and of course personal preferences. This is our recommendation after several intense tests. Since the pure X-Wing is just 19mm wide, it's less comfortable to your skin than other webbings. The TRICKZONE though is a 25mm wide tubular webbing. It's wrapped around main and back up, so it becomes really thick, tight and comfortable. As you can see, it barely moves by any pressure, pulling or stepping on it. Standing on the TRICKZONE feels like standing on a regular 25mm webbing. Sitting on it is super comfy. Grabbing it is thick, round and soft. You can move the TRICKZONE to any place in the line you like, but since it's really tight, you need a little bit of force to move it where you want it. That's how tight it is. To keep this TRICKZONE in place, we don't use tape. It just sticks where you placed it. You can of course still tape it once you found the perfect place for it to avoid any kind of movement. First, performance. Our main goal was to create an extremely lightweight rig that makes it easy for you to stick rotational tricks to feet. This means we don't want any heavy soon loops, connectors or anything that's heavier than the webbing near the TRICKZONE, because the additional weight makes sticking tricks to feet much harder. We also don't want a firmly sewn TRICKZONE because we want your rig to be easy to rig, versatile and suitable for many spot lengths. Since the TRICKZONE is movable, it's way easier to position it compared to a firmly sewn rig. A firmly sewn rig also needs 4 weblocks, while the X-Wing rig only needs 2 weblocks, so you save weight and money. The static side of the X-Wing rig comes with sewn loops that are connected to shackles. On the tension side, DYNEEMITE Pro is best attached to a rig lock. As an alternative to our rig lock, you can use our balance or our Pro weblock in a double wrap. From now on, you will find any weblock in our shop in a 25mm and in a 19mm version. X-Wing is an ultralight, high-performance freestyle setup that needs to be taken care of accordingly. We recommend to rig it for a dedicated session and to de-rig it afterwards. This way, the webbing is best protected from external influences like UV radiation and weathering, which are well known to weaken webbings. By de-rigging, you also provide the fibers of the webbing time to settle back in their original position, so the next time you rig your line, you will be provided with a supreme X-Wing bounce like it's new. In case you still decide to leave it rigged outside, we highly recommend to detension the line after the session, so the fibers can set back to their original state, so you will be provided with a supreme X-Wing bounce the next time you tension it. Please be aware that the prolonged use of a high-performance webbing in a PERMARIG can significantly decrease its lifetime. Absolutely yes. That's why we offer the Dura Vida connection option, so you can detach the backup from the main webbing and use it separately. This option also makes it possible to exchange your main webbing once it's rocked down, so you can keep the expensive backup and reuse it with a new main webbing. We at RED don't recommend the use of X-Wing without the protective TRICKZONE. This webbing belongs to the lowest breaking strength class, which means that it's way thinner and more fragile than a 35 kN polyester webbing like our Rainbow, for example. Freestyling means regular leash falls from uncontrolled positions, which comes with a much higher abrasion risk to the webbing compared to simply walking on it. The TRICKZONE is designed to protect your webbing from external forces, so it has a longer lifetime and you have more fun on it.